What's it like to live with an EV? I'm going to tell you the truth about living with an electric car. I own EVs and I'm going to tell you what it's really like. I've seen some belting YouTube videos over the years about people, typically who've never actually owned one, telling you what it's like to live with an EV. Now, I'll be honest, they're still quite divisive for electric vehicles. You either hate them or you like them. But unlike, again, a lot of the videos out there, I like to think I've got an advantage. So I'm just going to toot my own horn for a second. I've lived with EVs, owned them, quite a few of them, over the last 10 years. I've lived with the charging network. I've used it over the last 10 years. I've pretty much reviewed every single EV that's ever been sold in the UK over the last, well, since they began. All of them. There's a few new ones that I haven't got yet, but ultimately, when it comes to experience, I don't think there's even automotive journalists out there that have the same level that I have. There's going to be some, don't get me wrong, but again, tooting my own horn, I'd like to think I know what I'm talking about. So I thought, yes, let's jump on this view bandwagon. Let's tell you the truth, even with the clickbait title and everything, about owning an EV. Because quite frankly, as I said, I like all cars. I couldn't give two hoots whether you buy one or not. It's your money, do what you want. There's no environmentalism in this channel, never has been. I'm not a shill for the EV whatever. There's no lizard people controlling the world, paying me, which is laughable, to tell people good things about electric cars. That's what people genuinely think. So, what's it like to live with one of these things? As you can see, I have a charger. I actually have two, because we have multiple EVs and press cars, so it's just how it is. If I didn't have that, if I couldn't charge from home, I wouldn't have an electric car. I've said this from day one. The network isn't ready yet. It will be, I'm absolutely convinced of that, but we're not there yet. In fact, when it comes to people not being able to charge from home, so destination charging is a big factor there, it's barely even begun in a lot of parts of the country. The nearest chargers for me are the same as this in terms of power, 7 kilowatt chargers, posts. It's about 3.5 miles from this house, a 7-mile round trip. And another worrying thing is that in the last 3 years, no new chargers have been installed within a 5-mile radius of this house. None. Even if I could easily charge, if it was convenient, it would cost me about the same in terms of fuel. Possibly more, but probably about the same. So there'd be no financial benefit there to offset some of the inconvenience, or if you couldn't charge at home, a lot of the inconvenience. According to the RAC study, it's roughly, I think it's just over 50% of UK households will have the ability to charge from home, or at least can put something in or can adapt something so they have that capability at some point, either now or in the future. So it's just over 50% that do, and just under 50% of households, not people, households, that it won't be an option for them. However, there's still millions of people out there that could easily own one of these that choose not to. And that's the people that I need to concentrate on, because I've already said if you can't charge from home, I wouldn't even bother yet. So let's start with doing long journeys. So again, I'm assuming you can charge from home. What's it like doing long journeys now? Well, in 2015, 2014, because I had cars before that when I borrowed them, well, you had IKEA that had a few chargers, if you were lucky, and a few services had 1 or 2 chargers. There was nothing. But we still managed, and 2025, 10 years later, it's quite easy, quite frankly, to do long journeys. Occasionally, at certain times of the year, bank holidays, for example, when it's busy, yes, you may have to queue for a charger, but the reliability is a lot better than it was even 2 or 3 years ago. But it's just a change of mindset. So for example, let me give you this as an example, which I think highlights what I mean. You can't treat an EV, when you're doing a long journey anyway, as you do a petrol car. By which I mean, you wait until you're on the red light, until you've got 20, 30 miles of range left, and then you fill up. Get that out of your head. So when we went to Inverness, just about a month ago, which is about 350 miles. I could do that with one stop in this standard range Model 3 if I wanted to. But we didn't because, well, about a third of the way there, maybe a quarter of the way there, we stopped off at T-Bay Services because they do really, really nice sausage rolls. We were on probably 60% at the time. I didn't need to charge, but I thought, well, I'm going in there anyway, I might as well plug in and get it up to 80 odd percent or whatever. Basically, have it charging whilst I'm doing something else. So when we did have to stop further on in the journey, I only had to add 30-40% on instead of 50-60. It's not inconvenient, you just have to slightly change your mindset, because the majority of people, typically on YouTube, if I'm thinking of a certain person right now, almost manufacture the issues you see on social media. I've nearly run out and then this charger's not working. Why did you pass 20 different chargers over the last 20 miles and you wouldn't have had this problem? You deliberately engineered that. Now, don't get me wrong, you don't have this with a petrol station. It's not there yet. And nobody is pretending that an EV is a direct replacement for everybody today. Nobody is saying that. A good phrase to remember is that EVs suit most people most of the time. Not all people all of the time, or all people most of the time. Most people most of the time. So if I'm doing a long journey, I might lose 15 minutes compared to taking a petrol car, which I do have the option of. Maybe 20 minutes, maybe even half an hour. Whoop-de-doo, I've lost a bit of time. However, that happens so little, because how many people do over 200 miles on a journey? It happens, and there will be travelling salesmen out there that are the exception, but ultimately 99% of journeys, this is according to UK statistics, 99% of journeys are under 100 miles. Just to put that into some sort of context. So I'm willing to live with a little bit of, oh yes, when we go down to Cornwall, it's going to take us half an hour longer, maybe even an hour longer. However, day to day, at home, again, home charging being the key, I'm making that up, because all I do is literally just plug that in. That's it. This is charging when I'm doing other things. It's charging when I'm sleeping, it's charging when I'm working or whatever. So therefore, I'm not losing any time. The perception that it takes hours and hours to charge a car, it's correct in some ways, but to you it's not. Again, it's overplayed from the anti-EV mob, if I'm being blunt for a second, as a negative. You don't have to be stood here waiting for it. You can be working, you could be sleeping, you could be eating, you could be doing other things with your wife, like gardening. So yes, it does take hours on a charger like that anyway to charge this up to full, but I'm not stood here when it's doing it, so it's not taking any time out. I'm probably losing 10, maybe 15 seconds twice, maybe 3 times a week, and I do a lot of miles, by owning an EV. They're not exactly nice places. Let's not pretend petrol stations are places that you look forward to visiting. They stink. There's always some muppet doing their weekly shop in the tiny little shop and blocking the petrol pump or something. It's just normal. You're used to it. With an EV, once you're used to it, you'll go, oh God, I'm never going back. And according to pretty much every statistic you read out there, 90+% of people who own an EV will never go back. So the general rule of thumb, you might lose a little bit of time doing a long journey, which for some people will be 2 or 3 times a year, but you'll save more time. You'll save a lot more than you will lose by having that home charging experience. Another thing that's often underplayed, which I see as a massive advantage, is that you can preheat or pre-chill in summer the EV. So in winter, I press a button on my app, or I just schedule the car to do it itself, and this is toasty warm, there's no ice to scrape on the windscreen. I just set off every winter morning whilst everyone else is doing the scrapey thing. The fact that you can heat a car up without having the engine running is a major benefit, but people see it as a negative because you lose a bit of range. But again, when 99% of journeys are under 100 miles, it's only going to affect a tiny percentage of your journeys. You lose range in winter. Yes, that's the thing with EVs, just as it is with petrol and diesel cars. You look at the average MPG in winter versus the average MPG in summer, it will be quite a bit lower. So this is normal. We've lived with this all the time. It's just when you could refuel quickly, it was never really a problem. Let's move on to cost. Are electric vehicles more expensive than petrol? I would say, like for like, if you had a petrol version and an electric version, the EV is still more expensive than the petrol version in terms of pure list price. However, that's started to really change now. I think the Vauxhall Frontera, I think that's right, is the same price in petrol and electric versions. It's only just started, there's only one car, but it's flipping, it's changing over. On the used market, I would say probably about the same, thanks to Mr. Depreciation. So the entry level, which is a used EV for me, that's no more harder to purchase or to get into than petrol or diesel world. Now let's talk about batteries. This again is something that puts an awful lot of people off, and I talk to a lot of people and have done over the last decade on the channel, so there's a lot of research gone behind this sort of thing, and batteries are a definite worry. First thing to mention, pretty much every EV that you'll ever come across, certainly new ones and over the last 6-7 years, will come with either a 7 or usually 8-year warranty on the batteries. That's usually 100,000 miles, some are more, like a long range version of this is 120,000 miles I think it is on the battery and the drivetrain, the motors. This one, standard range, is 100,000 miles, and that's common. You'll never get that in petrol or diesel world. And to be clear, that doesn't mean you have to get a new battery. You have to replace it after 8 years, 100,000 miles. That's when the warranty expires. Very different things. In the same way, you don't need to replace the engine on a Volkswagen Golf after 3 years. You don't have to replace the battery after 8. Warranty expiration is not life expectancy. I've recently sold an EV after keeping it and using it for YouTube purposes that had done 190,000 miles. Original battery, original motor, pretty much no servicing. Still works fine. These are battery management systems. Most of them, pretty much all these days, have thermal battery management as well, and their longevity is just getting better and better as time goes on. And this is technology that's been around for a long, long time. Batteries aren't new. Repairing EVs? Yeah, that's still a bit of an issue if I'm honest, because there's not enough people doing it. Mainly because there's not enough EVs to repair. And when I say repair, I mean the actual batteries now. The rare event where you get a battery failure or a fault, it's not like, again, it's not like your mobile phone where you have to just take the battery out and get a new one, because there are many, many batteries in an EV. Sometimes hundreds of battery cells. So if there's a fault, it's usually a control board, a little PCB, or it might be just a couple of cells or something to that effect, where it can be repaired. There's just not enough people doing it because, again, there's not enough EVs out there that need repairing. When they've been out long enough, when you've got millions of them out there of an age, then it will get to the point where there will be enough to repair and people will make money from it. There will be people repairing them everywhere. The garages that complain that EVs are going to put them out of business, I'm sorry, but just like ECUs that everybody was complaining about in the early 90s were going to put garages out of business, you just have to move with the times. Garages will adapt, and those that don't will just kind of fade away, I'm afraid. But that's decades away. It's not going to happen in the next 20 years, because you've still got another 10 years where you can still buy brand new petrol cars. So again, that's something that's overplayed. It's going to destroy an industry. No, it's not. Just like nothing else coming before it did. Insurance, might as well mention that. I would say there's probably about 20% surcharge for something like this over the petrol equivalent. That's, again, probably more due to parts availability and the amount of cars on the road, and insurance companies, quite frankly, just writing cars off, petrol and electric, far too easily. Petrol, diesel or electric, when you've got headlights costing a couple of grand or something on expensive cars, no wonder small shunts are just writing cars off. I don't see that as an EV problem, more of a car problem. So again, just to summarise, long journeys will be, at the moment, either the same or slightly less convenient. You will have 1, maybe 2 journeys a year where you get an annoying person or a dodgy charger or something that takes a few goes to get it working, that'll just go and it'll just infuriate you. At home, it's a doddle. You literally just plug it in and use it and charge it as you would your smartphone or anything like that. The only difference is, again, rather than wait until it's empty before plugging it in, if it's on 50%, plug it in, get it back up to 80, or if you want to, 100%. This is another myth that you can only use between 20 and 80%. It's not bad practice because it would aid longevity of a battery, but in the same way that you're not meant to use the full rev range of a petrol car, you're not meant to, hit the limiter all the time because it will wear the engine out quicker. You can do if you want to. People do. But if you read the manual, it's going to say, yeah, don't use a lot of revs until the oil's warmed up. How many people see that as a negative when buying a petrol diesel car? It's not even mentioned. If you want to do a long journey, charge it up to 100%. If you're just doing day-to-day stuff and you've got more than enough range coming up, then top it off at 80%. Or just leave it at 100, whatever. The cars, again, manage themselves. There is a buffer at the top and at the bottom of every car's battery that you simply do not have access to. You cannot overcharge it, you cannot undercharge it. So the buffers are there to protect the batteries already. It's just, if you do use the 20 to 80% thing, and battery technology changes, of course, this gets better and better. It's not really an issue in modern batteries anymore than it was 10, 15, 20 years ago, but use it as a car. If you want to charge it up, or you need to 100% every time, you carry on. At the end of the day, they're just cars. You get in it, you put it in drive, and there's a go pedal and there's a stop pedal. It's as simple as that. I like changing gears, it's enjoyable, but in terms of commuting and just boring driving, I prefer an EV. So this whole thing of, oh, we're going to lose the soul of an electric car, I get that. As a petrol head, I completely get that. That's why I've still got that one in the garage. But that's our generation and older. It's old fuddy-duddies such as us that are going to miss something that my daughter's generation and younger will never even know to miss. It's like missing gas lights in a house. You don't, do you? And finally, again, to summarise, a battery in your phone is nothing like a battery in these. Just because your phone lasts a couple of years and then the battery's knackered, nothing alike it. There are many batteries, not just one. You will lose range in winter, just like you do in a petrol or diesel car. It's just that you don't notice it in those because, well, you just fill up, don't you? But it is a thing, you know, whatever the manufacturer states as a range, it will be less. Again, this is nothing new. Manufacturer states that you get 50 miles per gallon, you'll probably get 40 in reality. Manufacturer states that you're going to get 250 miles out of a car, you'll get 200 in reality. The general rule of thumb that I go off, and this again does vary between cars, is that I would knock 20-25% off the range of whatever the manufacturer states that you will get. I would probably knock another 10-15% off that, maybe 20 to be on the safe side, in winter. So as long as you know this before you get into a car, before you buy one, as long as you're aware of this, you've done your research, then you're not going to be shocked or surprised. This is the thing that annoys me the most. Someone buys a car that's clearly not suitable for their pattern, for their usage, like they get an electric Mini and then do long journeys and find it takes them a long time. You bought the wrong car. It's like buying a house with 2 bedrooms and you've got 6 kids. You've kind of only got yourself to blame. The whole manufacturer thing again, that the range isn't anywhere near what they say it is. I agree, it should be different. But like getting an email from your bank or the Nigerian king, how many times do people need telling? The range of an EV will be in reality 25% less than the manufacturer states, just as a generic statement. This has been around for years. It's in all the press, it's on all the media. So how do people get caught out? It's a load of rubbish, is this sort of the truth behind owning an EV. Because everybody's different. What suits one might not suit another. What can I say? There's so many people doing EVs now, and EV channels that didn't exist 10 years ago, certainly when I started, that the shill payments that you get from the EV overlords is just be getting less and less. So I need to make money elsewhere. Oh, I forgot, like and subscribe, because YouTube